tonight I do have a speaker, and so my monthly trend, I've tried to get strong women that are in recovery, because this has kind of turned into like a men's meeting, I feel like. So I've been trying to bring in some women, but no, the women I brought in have been really inspirational people in the rooms, and also like personally to me. The person I've asked to give a lead tonight I've heard her lead before. She's had some changes in her life, and I know for me, when I have changes, my lead changes, so I'm excited. I haven't heard her in a while, and with that, I'm going to give you Katie.
Hi everybody, I'm Katie. I'm an alcoholic.
Hey Katie.
I love AA. Where could I tell about my crazy story and hold a baby at the same time? Yeah, my sobriety date is July 3rd, 2017. That's a date that I chose after I left a place I believe my higher power allowed me to go to have a little space between myself and myself, because I was killing me. I went to the Mercer County Rehab Detention Facility. So their beds are uncomfortable, their food is not great, it's very cold, and it's exactly what this alcoholic, and I also have outside issues. I'm an addict also, but I found this program to work for anything that I put it to. So yeah, that's exactly the place that this alcoholic needed to be. I was there for 17 days on a misdemeanor OBI, and I think that alone, when I look back at it, just shows the hand of, I call my higher power God, shows the hand of God in my life. I could have gone in and pled and spent a few days and been done with it, but I was pretty bent on not having that charge. The career that I have, I'm a nurse, so I didn't want to have an OBI as a nurse. That could have been really, really bad, right? And I was just self-will run riot still. I hadn't worked as a nurse in over a year because I was busy burning my life to the ground, but I was all of a sudden really concerned about it when I got this OBI charge. So anyway, I sat there for 17 days, and I got out on July 3rd, and as I was there, I felt all the isms. Like, I was really wrapped up in the drug world at that time, and so it was like, okay, well, it's been a few days, this thing's out of my system, so maybe I would just do this, and okay, well, it'd been a little longer. Like, I think I could live without that. I'd do all right. But if I could just get home, I just want to sit on my porch and have a couple Four Locos and smoke a pack of cigarettes. Like, I'll behave. I won't, I just, like, that alcoholism was still alive, and I didn't even realize I was an alcoholic at the time. When I first came here, I talked the talk. Like, I was in the room, and I respected the room I was in, so I was identified as an alcoholic. When I introduced myself, but deep in my heart, I did not believe I was an alcoholic, because I just didn't like it. I didn't like the gut rot. I didn't like the process that it took to get it. I didn't like the people I had to hang around. I just, all the way around, alcohol was a last resort for me. Like, that was if all else had failed and there was no other flavor to grab, then I would resort to alcohol. And so when I got here, it was hard for me to identify as an alcoholic. And I think that I just had enough pain to open my ears. Like, I could just hear just a little bit when I would hear somebody say, if you're a drug addict, you're an alcoholic. You're going to drink alcoholically. If you are an alcoholic, you're a drug addict. You're going to use whatever you pick up. I'm going to abuse anything that I use to make me feel better, to get me away from me. So I was able to just kind of trust that and keep going. And I'd been to some of the other groups for the other outside issues that I had, and I felt at home in AA. So I kept coming back here. And I remember early on hearing somebody say that if I was desperate enough to collect rainwater on the roof, if my sponsor told me to go out and collect rainwater in a bucket on the roof, then I might just be ready to change. And I thought, that's really silly, and I was like bound and determined to find it in the big book. I never did find it, but it might be in there, and I was just like zoning, thinking about something else in life. You guys ever do that? Like, read 2 pages and you're like, shit, I gotta go back because I totally forget. So it could be in there, but I think it was just one of those cool things you guys say. But I remember, like, relating, like, resonating with that. Yeah, I would think it was silly, and I would wonder why, but I had enough of Katie's ideas and my questioning that I would have done it. And I think that had gotten me in trouble so much in my life, always wanting to know the why. Like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? I have this very inquisitive mind. I need to know why, how, the mechanics of the thing. How does it work? And I try to do that a little bit in AA, but it was probably the first time that I can at least relate, that I can identify. This was the first time that I was able to just put that on a shelf and do it because it was working. Like, I don't know why, but it's working, so I'm just going to keep on going. And so as I've stayed around a little longer in this program, I've found that it really doesn't matter why. Like, even if I could figure out all the mysteries and all of life's grandest questions, what am I going to do with it? Like, at the end of the day, I'm an addict and an alcoholic. I have got to figure out how to get through today without picking up something that is going to kill me. So that's kind of where I was when I got here, and after a few 24 hours, sometimes I think I get a little big for my britches, and my disease lives up here still, and I have to take my medicine every day, and sometimes I need to be humbled and remember those early days where I didn't know how the bills were getting paid. I didn't know how my kids were coming back home. I didn't know if my marriage was going to survive. All I knew is that I was so sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I knew that the only reason I was able to even string a few days together is because I was in a place where I didn't have any choice, but that's, I guess, a really long story, and I'm going to circle back to why I chose July 3rd, because I could have chose 17 days before that as my sobriety date, but I know for a solid, 14 of those days, I would have been getting loaded if I could have. Like, I just did not want to be around me. It's a terrible place to be. I hated me, and I was stuck with me 24/7, so why wouldn't I get loaded? And I grew up in a religious practice. Like, I had a faith. I believed in God, the God of the Bible. I believed in Jesus, and I still do. My concept, my understanding of God has changed a lot since I got here. But I had really tried that way, and I actually felt like I had to kind of abandon that a little bit to come here. Not because you guys ever made me feel like that, not because AA ever said that. It was quite the contrary, really. But my judgment of AA before I got here was not through the filter of reading the big book, because I had certainly never picked it up. Like, it was contempt prior to investigation. We'd addressed that in the program in the literature. But I just heard that AA was wrong because you say higher power and you don't give credit to the real God. And, it wasn't quite right that I would hear somebody say I needed to pray and then they'd cuss the next sentence. Like, I really was turned off by that because of the way that I'd grown up. And I had a whole lot of opinions and judgments, is all I can say, before I came. And I think that the stars aligned just right, and my higher power made it to where I just had enough pain without Katie getting in the middle of things, that I was able to stick around this time, that I was actually able to listen, and to work the program to the best of my ability, for what I had heard people describing it, or, my sponsor, how she walked me through the steps, the things I was hearing in meetings. I went to a meeting every single day for 90 days. And I went over. There was, I just kind of made sport of it. My kids weren't home. They were in that vehicle with me when I got an OVI. So they were carted off swiftly from the scene. And they were with my sister for a couple months, and then ultimately went into foster care from there. So, I really had nothing to do for that first month. I didn't work even at all. Like, who wants a freaking alcoholic addict nurse to take care of grandma? That wasn't a good idea. So I, didn't work at all for that first month. And to look back now, I have no idea how I got by. It's just one of those things, like, it was a total faith walk, like one day at a time, and it just worked out. But I went to a lot of meetings, and there was a day that I went to 3 meetings in a row. Like, I just stayed busy. And there was a time where I was about a month in, and I had this thought, like, if I'm going to get a new token, I should just do it now. Like, kids aren't home yet. They're not going to drug test me over the weekend. They won't catch the alcohol. Like, my disease was really at work. And I don't know why. It was a great day. Like the one story in the book, it was a clear blue sky. There wasn't any reason really, except that I learned later that I'm an alcoholic. That's what I do. Like, if I am feeling an emotion that I've used something, some substance to cope with before, when I feel that emotion in sobriety, I'm going to want that substance. Like, my brain just, real quick, knee-jerk reaction. The difference is the pause today. Like, I can have a little bit of a pause to where I've kept coming back, and I've worked this program, and I've built up some, we call them tools. Like, I've built up my arsenal a little bit here, that I've got something to combat that urge today. And it was so freeing for me to hear that the first time, like in a lead. And I made it through that first craving, by the way. And that was the first one I remember being like, oh my God, there's never been a time in my life. I don't care if I had strung 6 months together, or it had been 2 years since I used a substance. Because my disease is progressive, there were times that I could do that. I could, arrest. I don't know that I was really arresting it myself, but my willpower, for a little while, could overtake this disease until it progressed to where I was powerless. So I had nothing. But I remember that being such a like a big thing to celebrate. But I was just so grateful. Like, I remember thinking it felt like if I were drowning out in the lake and somebody just happened to come by, and just like, oh my God, like just the relief of like, holy shit, I made it. And I think that was a gift for me, like that desperation and the finally knowing that I really was killing myself, because I thought that was the stupidest thing. I did stuff every day that killed people, and I just thought that I was exempt from it. That wasn't even a scare tactic for me. And my family would be like, you're going to kill yourself, we're going to find you dead. And it just didn't faze me. It didn't hold any weight. It didn't, I don't know, like it didn't bother me. I felt like I was too smart. I wasn't going to use that amount. I wasn't going to do it this way. I was smarter than them. So for whatever reason, by the grace of God, I didn't die while I was out there. And then also, once I made it to this program, I was able to stop that terrible loop, that merry-go-round that I went in there. I forget what the 24-hour book, like, am I done? Am I off of the roller coaster for good, or whatever it says? And I hate that part of it. I hate that, because, like, for good, what is for good? For me, for good, I can say today, I said for good for a few years. And it didn't matter the day that I hadn't taken care of myself and arrested my disease for that day, and I went back out. And, the drink and the drug outweighed my desire to want to be sober and to keep my kids home. And, because I had had a period of sobriety not in this program before a relapse, that then the OVI came that stopped the relapse, thank God. And it didn't matter that day. So anyway, it does redeem itself, I think, in that reading. Like, it goes on to talk about some other things that I do like. So I just always kind of get a little sideways smile. Like, I have to remember for myself that, like, for good is BS. I can't ever think of any further than today. And that's been a practice for me, because I'm like, I hate to say this stuff, but it's true. So I may as well just put it out there. Like, I talked about my judgments and my opinions. Like, I'm a pretty judgmental person. How could that mom, do drugs with her kids? How could that mom drive drunk and have her kids in the car? How could that mom do that while she was pregnant? How could, every time I've ever sat in a seat of judgment over somebody for something that I just thought was, like, morally, like, absolutely wrong, I've been that person. Like, I've switched roles, and I've ended up being that person. And man, at the end of all that, like, to be able to live with me, I turned out to be everything that I ever judged and hated about somebody. So, I don't think I would have lived past, like I talked about hating myself. I wouldn't have lived past the guilt, the shame, the remorse, and the absolute hatred for me had it not been for this program. I had to, even though I said earlier in the lead that I had this faith in God, that wasn't enough. Like, it still didn't stop me. It was drugs or Jesus all my life. From the first time I picked up. I was 11 years old when I first drank. I remember my grandparents were in town, and they were, like, just the sweetest, like, Catholic people, Grandpa had a Manhattan every night, and Grandma had a martini, and they stopped. I never understood that until I started drinking and understood what it was about. Like, why would you even have one drink with dinner? That was the craziest thing to me, but they did. But anyway, so they packed their stuff along, and there it was. And my brother and I had a friend over stay the night, were there with the bottles in the kitchen and the sparklers that we were supposed to set off the next night, or, light, whatever. There we were, and so we decided to taste a little bit. And I was thinking, like, man, I feel like it was vodka, but maybe it was gin, because Grandma always had gin. Neither here nor there. Like, I remember it being really disgusting, which I guess at 11, anything's going to be disgusting that's alcohol related. But I really thought we had gotten away with it. Like, we added the water to it, you know, we watered down Grandma's bottle, and it was enough to get 3 of us, that was our first time drinking ever, get us pretty drunk. I was pretty drunk anyway. And I remember my friend and my brother wanted to go and set off these sparklers. I was like, oh my God, they're going to freaking have our asses tomorrow. I'm in so much trouble. We better not do this. So, of course, we let the sparklers, and we were in trouble the next day. And the water wasn't a trick. That didn't work for my grandparents. They found out. But when I came to this program, and we all kind of looked back at our first drink and our last drink, and I try not to tell too many war stories in between, because again, like the hows and the whys, it doesn't really matter today. I just have to live in the solution. But I remember, like, seeing them outside with sparklers, like, just wanting to hit that bottle one more time, like, just wanting to have one more drink. Like, if I think about John's story, like, this makes me feel good. What's one more drink going to make me feel like? And, yeah, to look back at that, and then to see my own kids grow up and be 11 years old, I'm like, oh my God, I was 11 years old, like, drunk my first time. This is insane. But you know what's so crazy is, like, so I look at, then I did, you know, my first drug at 13, and carried on, and I'd pull back and, like, oh my God, I don't want to, you know, be a drug addict or an alcoholic. I'm going to go back to church and get my life right, and I would do that for a while. And you know, I look back at the way that this disease progressed. It's insane to me that I didn't think I had a problem. Like, up until that day that I got pulled over on an OVI, everybody else was my problem. The fact that drugs weren't legalized was my problem. Like, the idea that, you know, I couldn't just freely do whatever I wanted, alcohol or not, that was a problem to me, and I would get on that cause if anybody listened to me. And then I had to sit with myself. And alcohol, I heard in a lead one time, and I can relate it to anything that got me away from me, that alcohol gave me wings, then it took away my sky. And that is just, like, that's just a perfect synopsis of, I don't know, I was, 30? I shouldn't do math right now. Oh, I think 30, almost 32 when I got sober. So, for all that time, you know, 20 years, 2 decades, that one statement sums it up. That it gave me wings. I felt amazing. I felt like the prettiest person. Like, I wasn't scared to sing or dance or, you know, do all those things that I always felt really embarrassed about. I could talk to anybody, which I could talk to anybody anyway. So that wasn't ever like super an issue for me. But I liked me when I was drunk, and so that was important for me, and that became something. And then I really liked me when I found other things that I didn't have to worry about blacking out. Somebody tell me what I did. I could drive and feel like I still had, you know, my wits about me and things like that. I really liked me when I could take something and clean my whole house and have the bags packed for the next day and the lunches and, you know, just feel like I was really this on top of the world mom and wife and doing all the things that I felt like an accomplished person, an accomplished woman in today's society would do. I always had to have something for that. So, yeah, I felt like there was a point I was going to make and I lost it. It might come back. Anyway, I'm grateful, though, to hear things. I guess I'll jump back up on that statement, that it gave me wings and took away my sky. Man, when the sky's fallen, like, what good are wings? What good is it to have that thing anymore when it didn't work to get me away from me anymore, and it had taken everything that I loved, it had turned on me. I heard recently, I just love the idea that we can look at our disease as a bad relationship, like a toxic, abusive relationship, and I can see that honeymoon phase, like where everything's great and I'm getting everything that I want out of this relationship, and then, you know, the abuse comes. And I feel terrible one day, and I can't clean my puke up out of the carpet, and I can't believe that I drove the night before and I don't even realize it, or, you know, that I cleared out the bank account and my son blew his shoe out at school, and now I can't even go buy my kid a new pair of tennis shoes when I should have been able to buy 5 tennis shoes at the start of the day. But the day just went that way, that, you know, I was partying and paying for everybody else to party, and just all these checkpoints along the way that, you know, but then I could see, like, when a best friend died, that was the first thing I went to was alcohol. So I ran back to that bad relationship, and then, you know, just this back and forth, this yo-yo, to where, And just like a toxic, abusive relationship, I was stuck there and I didn't know how to get out. And it was a living hell. I was at that place the book talks about where I couldn't live with it, I couldn't live without it. I was at that jumping off point. And I'm just so grateful that you all were here for that. And that's, I think, what's kept me coming back for, as long as I've been here this time. First of all, I've never been able to stay sober this long. So something's working. I came to that place where it didn't matter what the church said or my family said or whatever. Like, this is working for me. I've never strung this many days along. So I found God in AA. I found the God that I had been looking for all my life, but I felt like maybe I just wasn't ever going to quite add up to what that version of God was going to be. And this program gave me the gift of being able to understand the God that loves me so much that He would orchestrate all of these things. Me to go to jail, somebody from AA to be there. I ended up, one of our dear friends that's gone, gay, came to jail, and I'll never forget, I hope I never forget, the first meeting she saw me there, she said, "I am so glad to see you," and I could tell she was genuine, and I thought, why would you want to see me here? That is the weirdest thing anybody would ever tell anybody. Like, why are you happy to see me in jail? And now I understand, because the sooner we can get somebody that was as sick as me in a safe place away from themselves to where maybe the fog can clear a little bit, probably the better chance that they have at making it. And then we have people that carry the message. We work that 12th step and we go into the jails and we're here even though, there's a whole lot of years of sobriety around this table and they keep coming back. Why is that? Well, I believe it's twofold. One, because it works, and I need to be here. And two, because I have to give it away to keep it, and somebody was here for me, and I remember that feeling that I talked about earlier of the relief, the long sigh, the saving feeling. I don't know, that feeling of salvation, when the lifeboat came and picked me up out of the water that I was drowning in. I want to be that lifeboat to somebody else. I want to be a part of the whole that makes a difference. And I tried a whole lot of ways. Tried a whole lot of different ideas that I had for myself, that other people had for me. There were times of desperation where I listened to what my parents had to say, or my grandma had to say, or what the pastor had to say. And I tried it all on, and for whatever reason, other than no human power could have relieved my alcoholism, I didn't know how to seek God. So if I believe that God could and would if He were sought today, I didn't know how to seek God. I think if I could sum up my relationship with God back then, I was seeking to be somebody that was worthy of God's approval. That was kind of the religion that, the idea that I built. I don't know if that's really what they were teaching me. It could have been my alcoholic filter all those years that just had it screwed up. For whatever reason, I felt like I heard that I needed to try a little harder, be a little better, talk a little smarter, be a little kinder, less judgmental, a better mother, a better friend, a better Christian, whatever. I just never quite added up. And so the way that I sought God was so different back then. And there have been times that throughout this program, I've struggled with my higher power. Some of the people that I grew up with, or that I feel like we have the same faith, I've struggled a little bit through the years with, their idea of God, and the way that my understanding of God has changed while I've been sober for these past 6.5 years. I get a little estranged with God sometimes, and I just recently kind of came out of that again, and I'm so grateful, where I just have to remember that, I liken my higher power to the sun. And so kind of fitting, we just had this tornado, this big storm. Sometimes there's cloudy days. I probably could be diagnosed with a handful of mental health issues because just the way that things affect me. So on those cloudy days, whether it's emotionally or mentally or even physically, the weather does affect my mood a lot. I have to remember that the sun's still behind those clouds. The sun's still going to shine again. I got to get through the dark night sometimes, and I've had a few seasons and a few experiences where it's the dark night of the soul while I've been in this program, and I've never been able to stay sober through those before. And so, wow, what a blessing. That first 30 days where I was ready cash in my token, and I made it past that first urge to drink, and I didn't drink, and I stayed going to meetings and stayed working the steps. Now today I can go through whole seasons where I'm like, God, why do I feel like this? I hate this depressive funk that I'm in. But I just have found that and I'm not saying, like, some people absolutely you need medication, and I've had to seek outside help with a therapist and things like that, so I don't want anybody to walk away from here and go, oh, Katie said she just works the program and gets over it. Like, please don't. If you really need mental health, like, go seek that out, because I have done that also. But what I find, though, is as I've gone on, I've even learned some tools that can combat that, and so quickly I can pull myself out of, I don't believe it's me pulling myself out, but for lack of a better term, I can come out of that if I help somebody else. Like, that's something that AA taught me, and it's so freaking simple. Like, I don't know if, helping somebody pull their weeds or do their laundry, like, it doesn't necessarily have to be this all-out, AA, like, conference where I just sit down with a big book and I show somebody how they can fix their life in 24 hours. And that's what I thought as I was working my step process, is that's what it had to be. So I was really intimidated by that 12th step, like, oh my God, I can't even keep my own life together. There's no way I'm going to be able to help somebody else when I get to this 12th step. Like, it was actually a conversation I had with my sponsor, is like, I don't ever want to sponsor anybody. Like, I'm a train wreck. I can't help somebody else. And on top of that, I'm, like, really nervous. Like, sometimes I'll answer my phone or talk for an hour, and another time I'm not going to touch that thing for a week. Like, I don't even text. But I found that, like most things, I was complicating it, and I was making hard terms where there didn't have to be. And as long as I would make that conscious contact with my higher power and surrender my day, whatever the time of day that I remember to do that. Sometimes I'm on, a good spiritual beam, and it's early in the morning with my readings and my coffee, and I'm feeling great. And other times, like, it's falling off the rails at 2 p.m., and I'm like, oh, I kind of forgot to say hi today, God. Can you fix this? I got myself in a mess again. And so sometimes it looks like that, but what's really cool about my higher power today is he always responds. Like, it's not contingent upon my performance anymore. So I'm grateful for that, and I'm grateful to be able to work that 12th step today. I think that that's been a huge difference in my life, and we've read the promises. I've shared this in a couple meetings, but I'll share it again. I came early on. There's some newer faces around, and a newcomer took your 24-hour coin. That's awesome. And I would just encourage you, if you feel like you've had enough pain and you're just desperate enough, you're in the right place tonight, and I hope you stick around and keep coming back. But I think that, hold on, because I lost my train of thought again. I might just pick up a different one. So, hell, I don't know. To come, I was talking about the 12th step and the way that I would come and listen to the promises. So I remember, like, sitting there just broken. Like, my heart was broken, my soul was shattered. It was just awful. I knew that if I just kept coming, like, I intuitively knew that it was going to be okay if I kept coming back, but I never thought it was going to be the kind of okay that I wanted. I just thought that I was going to patch it up and work a factory job and at least have my kids home and be happy with that. Like, I was kind of resolved that was going to be okay. And I would listen to the promises be read, and I'm like, fear of people and of economic insecurity. I got the court and children's services and $3,000 I owe the landlord. God bless that man. He's codependent and should have never let me stay this long, but I want to make right by him. Like, I just had all this stuff, and intuitively know how to handle situations. Everything baffled me. I made a mountain out of a molehill, and I certainly had no intuition because I was so driven. Like, all of my choices were for somebody to like me, like to find that acceptance. I feel like if I can look back at it, I sabotaged myself so many ways. I mean, people that probably don't even remember me or didn't even know my name. Like, I cared so much about what other people thought, yet I was, like, busy being a train wreck, like, that most people wouldn't ever respect or think highly of. It's just insane to me. Today, I can see the insanity of it. But back then, that was all I knew. That was normal. And so, anyway, like, I keep coming back, and I'm working the steps, and, I get to that part where I'm making the amends, and those promises are coming true. Like, they're like, wow, I pulled myself up out of that. I got a job, and I was working hours, and I was basically working and going to AA and working the steps, um, and making some mistakes along the way, but actually like fixing the mistakes, that was cool. That was different, that I didn't just either run away from my problems or lie about them or create bigger ones trying to keep my problems. I was learning how to face them, so that was different and foreign, and didn't always feel comfortable. I didn't really like it. It wasn't my normal. It wasn't something that I was used to doing. But I remember thinking, man, there's no way I'm ever gonna uh, how it's worded. I'm trying to think of how it's worded, like how it hit me one time before my relapse. Like I started to drink after work with other nurses. Like I just wanted to be a normal person. And I remember thinking like I would really argue. Jason was in the program before me, like back in that time of sobriety for me. And to not regret the past or wish to shut the door on it. I just thought that was the most ridiculous thing. And like, shouldn't you as a person, like you owe penance to your children. Like how would I as a mother not regret what I have done? And how, yeah, absolutely I want to shut the door on it. I can't stand here at the med cart and somebody think I'm going to steal grandma's pills. Like, yeah, shut that door. Slam it. Let's move down south a couple states. Like, I don't want to be known as this person ever again. And that's what my name is around this town. How could I live like this? And I just thought it was the silliest thing. It almost, like, upset the whole apple cart for me. That was so strongly I felt about that promise. That you guys were so wrong about that. I really couldn't even buy into AA, my first bit of exposure to it. And I'm still not super comfortable with that because I do have those feelings like, gosh, how could I not? I got this new guy and he's 20 years younger than my oldest, who I had at 18. And oh my God, just all my kids really. Sweetest kid. I mean, we grew up together and he helped me raise all his siblings as they were coming, and just one of the most incredible people I know. How could I not regret what I'd done to him? And so I've spent a lot of time talking to my sponsor and found out that wasn't necessarily like the spirit of the promise and what it means, what it's talking about. So I was able to just kind of put it on a shelf. Like, okay, it doesn't mean I don't feel sorry for what I've done to my kids or what I've seen them go through, that I can't make him 10 years old again. I can't go back to when he was 6, when I really felt like, he was the guy that blew his tennis shoe out and I couldn't frickin' buy him new tennis shoes when he came home from school. Like, what the hell? Oh my God, I'm such a terrible mom. All those kind of things. But I've come to find that even that, I really thought that was a promise that would just never come true in my life. And I've come to find that it has. If maybe only just a few times. Like, to be able to sit in a jail and hear this 23-year-old girl say, I'm done. I'm over it. I'm never going to drink again. I hate it. I hate what alcohol has done in my life. I just want my kids. And it scared me because 23-year-old Katie did the same. I said the exact same thing. I just didn't have the tools at the time to make that stick. And then another mom used to go into the jail in a different capacity. And she's like, I used to come in here to help inmates. And now, look at me now. And I'm just like, oh my God. But like that I can bring hope today, that my screwed up, ridiculous, like disgusting story, the life that I was living, my life was screwed up and disgusting and ridiculous. That past has now just become my story. And what AA has given me is meaning to it. Like, there's something that I can do with it now. Like, in the hand of God, through the program of AA, and working the steps and following the suggestions to the best of my ability, and keeping coming back and giving it away, the things that I've been given, I've been able to say now that promise has come true. Like, I felt that in my heart. Like, wow, in this very moment, I don't regret the past because I'm sitting here and it's okay today. And I certainly don't want to shut the door on it. Like, that's what, I need that door open. I need a light shining on it so that maybe somebody else who's walking through this thing that I walked through can say, wow, she did it. Like, she was a freaking train wreck, and look at her life. Only 6 short years later, 6 years goes by pretty fast. It doesn't feel like it in the moment. It feels like hell. It's horrible. But, yeah, to be where I am today and for it to be okay, that could have never happened without AA. Like, that is, and sometimes I still struggle with those statements because, like I said, the faith practice that I grew up in. But I can liken it to the surgeon. Like, if a surgeon excises stage 4 cancer out of your body, you're going to go, oh my God, this is the greatest guy. He got it all. Like, he got it figured out. We're good to go. if you've got your car screwed up and you've got it to 5 mechanics and you finally get the one that's got it figured out for you, you're going to send everybody there. You better get down to that shop. He figured out my car after I'd spent thousands of dollars, and that's how I feel about AA. It's the tool that God's given me, the gift of this program. I mean, of course, I respect anonymity, and as long as I keep my personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and film, I'm at work as a nurse today sharing my story, because I've found lots of nurses have lots of people they love or they struggle themselves too that need to hear my story. And so, imagine living a life where I just wanted to run away so nobody knew my name to, I don't care if I lose this job. This program saved my life. I'm going to give you the name of the surgeon or the mechanic or the program that saved my life. And so I can't speak enough good about it. I can say that when I first was exposed to AA, I didn't buy into it, and I just needed a little more pain, I guess. I don't know if that's even a true statement. I feel that it is, but maybe in seasons later in life I won't feel that way. What I can say that I know for sure is that I'm grateful that AA didn't change or bend for me. I'm glad that you guys didn't take that promise away because I thought it was bullshit. I'm glad that you didn't listen to my opinions and change your book because, Katie's judgment and your book wasn't lining up. And I'm grateful that you stayed solid and you were here once I was finally ready and willing to hear the message. And so that's kind of my deep conviction with AA today is now I'm ready to carry the message in the way that, and I'm ready to continue to live the message and live in the solution the way that it was presented to me. And that doesn't just happen because it sounds cute or you guys signed enough of my papers that you got the judge off my back and I got the OVI lowered to a lesser charge and, I got on with my life. The landlord got paid. Everything's good to go. And so sometimes it's difficult, when I see people that I'm like, man, I know you're struggling. I did too. But we can't change the program for you. You just hope that people will come along and see that it works and buy in that way. And there may be some of you that still have another go around out there. I hope I don't. I know that the only way to ensure that is to keep coming back here and to work this program every single day. But I hope that if you are like me and you're not quite ready yet or you don't quite buy in, that you give yourself, I guess, the grace to remember that we're here for you still and you come back. I hope you live to tell the story, and I hope you come back to a place where people understand you and have a solution to your problem. If you're a true alcoholic and or an addict or have other outside issues, these steps work for all of them in my experience. So I don't know that I'm going to be able to wrap this up in a nice little bow and package it up, and I know we're getting close to the end, so I'm just going to kind of cut it off abruptly, but I'm grateful to be here and to share my story, and thanks for everybody that listened, and that's all I have. Thanks.
You have a lot of knowledge in the program and living the program. And one thing, or a couple things that came to mind during your lead for me was when I first got into the program, I also did not think I was an alcoholic. It took another member of AA to point that out to me, because my main thing was also outside issues, and I was telling this person a little bit about my story, and, I dropped out of college because of drinking. I drove with the kids in my car, or drove drunk with the kids in my car, and just thought that was what you do, I guess, around here. I had no idea, that I had a problem with alcohol. Then it just progressed, like you said, it always progresses. Another thing, and this has been coming up a lot recently for me, is we all get here when we're supposed to. There's been other times, stuff would happen to me, and I'm like, all right, this is it. This is when I get sober, nothing more, and I would relapse so many times, and I also always hear you talk about that gift of desperation, and that's what I felt this last time. So, thank you for your lead and thanks for coming out, and I'm gonna open the floor for comments.
Thanks, Brenda.
I'm Tom, alcoholic.
Hi, Tom.
Thanks, Katie, for a really strong lead. And that's what we need is some more women giving leads here. Thanks.
Girl Power Month. I was gonna say something about that.
Oh, the recorder's still on. Go ahead, say it.
It was a very good lead. You know, I love hearing other people's stories. It helps out with my sobriety. First time wasn't so fruitful. This time it actually was. And you know, I've learned a lot about myself. You know, in the beginning, you know, I hated the world. Then it turned to hating myself. And you know, I'm slowly learning to love myself again. You know? And slowly letting the world back in. And it's a good feeling to have. And I appreciate every single one of you guys.
Thanks, man.
Steve, alcoholic.
Hey,
Hi,
Steve.
Thanks, Katie. You mentioned early in your lead about searching for the answers a lot, and I did a lot of that too. You know, it's like, why is this shit happening to me? You know, or why this and why that? Why are things going so great and I always mess it up? You know, and so there was a lot of back and forth for me. But this last go around with AA, in the beginning, I didn't realize how good it was going to be for me. And once I got into it and started getting into things, you know, and started to go more and more meetings and stuff and get more involved, I realized how powerful this organization is and how life-changing it can be. And to be able to remain calm and, you know, in difficult situations is a big one for me. But I liked your lead. It was very analytical. And I dig your matching shoes, you and Jason. So. Thanks.
Thanks, Steve.
I'm Jerry, and I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Jerry.
Yeah, Katie, I remember when I first met you. All them kids died. Always look down on them. Now I gotta look up at them. To get through. That was a very good lead. Very, very clean. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I'm John, alcoholic.
Hey, John.
I want to thank you too, Katie. You know, when you're talking, and I remember when I came here, and I didn't believe. I didn't believe I belonged here. I didn't believe I was an alcoholic. I didn't believe I belonged with you people. And the more I listened, at some point, it sunk in that, yeah, I belong here. This is the only chance I got in life. Because before I came here, I just thought I was just going to be that heavy drinker my whole life, because that's all I knew. That's all the people I knew. And I just thought that's the way it was going to be, and that I was the only one. And I figured out, you know, after a while here, I'm not the only one. That somehow all you people followed in my footsteps, because you're all like me. You know, but I just want to thank you, Katie. I always enjoy listening to you. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
Travis, alcoholic.
Hey, Travis.
I just want to say thank you for your lead. It was, there was a lot of things you said that I could 100% relate to. So I appreciate you telling your story.
Thanks, Travis.
Thanks, Travis.
Mike, alcoholic.
Hey, Mike.
I came in late because I was making sure a certain person got down here. But Katie, I seen you struggle, and every time you relapsed, I went, why? But everybody gets here in their time. When I came here, I shared this last night at Montezuma. I said, I wish I knew about AA meetings before I went to rehab. But I wouldn't have stopped. I wasn't ready. I was finally sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I couldn't live with myself anymore. That's what got me. and you people keep me here. And I forgot that for about a half a year to a year and didn't go to meetings. And I turned back into a dry drunk. These meetings keep me sober, keep me sane, and keep me happy, joyous, and free. And that's exactly what your lead said with every time you share. It helps me. And thank you a lot.
Thanks, Mike.
Mike.
Josh, alcoholic.
And Josh?
Thanks for a good lead, Katie. I got a lot out of it. Especially the part where alcohol gave me wings, but it took away my sky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was cool.
What really hit home was pretty deep. I haven't heard that before. But it really hit home because I lost everything because of alcohol, everything I care about. And I just really appreciate that. Thanks.
Thanks, Josh. I'm Paul, I'm an alcoholic.
Paul.
Katie, thank you, that was a great story. It's the first time I heard you, I believe that. But I remember when I first got out of treatment, I got out on Tuesday, and Wednesday I come to the beginners meeting. And that's when I first met Jason. And then after the meeting, you and Jason sat there and spoke with Des and me for like 20 minutes afterwards. And I appreciated that. You guys helped me keep coming back. I ran into you guys about every meeting I went to, I believe. But I thank you, and I'm glad I was here to hear your story tonight. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Paul.
My name is Wes, I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Wes.
It's always a pleasure. And I don't know how anybody can keep talking that much, but that's very good. I can't do that. But the thing that stood out was not having a hard time not regretting the past and not wanting to shut the door on it. You know, I think to turn that around, the most valuable thing we have to give to anybody else here is our own stories. It's the only truth I got. You know, it's all I know. What happened and what I did and what it's like now is. So I think that's true of everybody. Everybody's got a story, and everybody's story is important. And that's really the core of the program. Thanks.
Thanks,
Brian, I'm an alcoholic and addict.
I'm Brian.
Katie, I want to say thank you for your lead. So many similarities in what you said reflect in my past. And us guys, we have this thing called girl code, and we have girl power. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll admit to you, girl power is a lot stronger than girl code because 6 years and something, I'm only 8 months. I hope in 6 years and something I can look back and look at this coin and say, hey, remember that lead you heard? And let that be the reason why I got as far as you are now in your recovery. I want to say thank you for that.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Anybody else? Alright, in closing, we would like to remind you that the opinions expressed here were strictly those of the person who gave them. Take what you like and leave the rest. Also, anonymity is the spiritual foundation of our program. Therefore, who you see here, what you hear here, when you leave here, let it stay here.
You're here.
Coach said something too.
Never say them words.
We're getting younger, are we?
Oh,
Wait a minute.
Katie, will you take us on?
Yeah, his Father keeps us sober.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation,
but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Keep coming back with works of your work. Keep working it. No, it's JR. I'll put it on, yeah.
Cause I
But my
got drugs
computer.
in my story, it'll probably come up, I'd say, but,
Oh, so does everybody.
I mean, some people are, I've
We
met
need-
some hard-nosed AAs.
Cool, good.
I'm broke.
Subscribe to some of it.
Oh, okay. Alrighty.
Gary, you got your hair sticking out your hat.
Right, yeah, it only depends which way I go, so.
He's got a bad hair. There you go.
Alright.
I had on my tray, I'm like doing that.
Oh.
I don't have
God
that
likes
problem.
you. God will hear
Right.
you if you don't
I ain't
sing.
got that problem.
Don, he's got more hair on his
Yeah.
chin than he's got on his head.
Yeah, he does.
Alright.
Well, I told him, we'll take and cut it down and put it up
You know,
there.
Mickey's little boy, Billy, or Thomas, or William,
He'll be fine.
he stayed, Mitch told me he thought you was Santa Claus when he seen you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cute.
There's a lot of them say that. I just look at them and say, where's your list? I seen one about a month ago at Walmart, and I said, where's your list at? He said, well, we're here in town, we're here in the store, I'll just show you what I want.
Dad said he's not gonna buy any.
We got Alon over there yet?
I better run down there and I got cell
I'm
phone.
going tomorrow morning,
Okay.
Where are you going? Hey, Russ, how's it going?
How you doing?
Are you gonna go to the mini conference tomorrow?
Okay.
Jerry and Paul are going.
Already.
Paul's bringing Jerry.
Oh, Eddie.
Yeah, Steve's going with them too.
He ain't gonna make it. How you doing, bud?
All right.
Oh, wow.
How you doing, Andrew?
I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Brad's getting out there on the
Steve,
ball.
Hey, Don.
Hey,
Paul. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, that's fine, yeah.
What time are you doing?
I think I'm gonna leave Miles like that. Or whatever he wants to do.
It's a big head, so.
That's a big job. That's a big job.
Eddie. How you doing?
Mitch,
If we can get it
Paul
through it.
called, Brad said, how long you in the
I think
hospital?
it'll do it. This should.
They went in two, went in before, but they had a friend, I was in Thunder, said, I said, 2 days I was in there.
What difference in Eddie makes?
Oh, Mike.
That's your call up there.
What's Tiffany's?
Hey, Dave.
I'm coming over here with you guys.
He said, you shoot that ball hits the top. You see,
Don't have to turn around.
Tom.
Nice to meet you.
Top of that ball.
Junior thinks that's funny.
You like Gary?
Good there, I don't know where
Gary?
You're a big fan. Good seeing you. How you doing, Dave?
Hi, Dave. How you doing?
Well, I didn't have the best candidate, so. I've been getting around different meetings and stuff.
Chubby already.
Trying to celebrate recovery, which is pretty decent.
A little hair on top.
Kind of branching a little, keeping it fresh. Joe, you know that you have to speak to everybody sitting at that chair. My name's Joey.
Oh, it's a phone ring.
Come on, I promise.
Oh, no. I sit down and sit.
I've gotten her number a while back.
That's why I come up here.
I can't read.
She's got to use a different number than.
See what I just heard.
Somebody else's phone or something.
No, I ain't gotta read.
I don't have her.
I'll be shooting out there in the
That's
morning,
fine,
Jerry.
just the location
I'll be
is
heading down
different.
there
It's
in
the
the
same
morning.
area, but
Miranda House Cash.
you can go
Pick
together.
up,
Is it
Jerry.
Today?
Yeah.
I would have that too.
Sure.
It was like really bad, and I was like, dude, maybe we should take
Yeah.
it in.
Steve's
Yeah, it was
And then we just kept breaking
the
it.
highest temperature.
Then we have Derek
at-
describe it
at-
to
at-
them.
you know,
One was like that too. I was like,
Can you
oh,
describe
shit.
the entrance for him?
Oh, yeah?
Paul, you're talking about you.
I don't
Yeah,
know,
I
so in
talked to
the
him today.
parking lot,
No, I'm driving tomorrow morning.
black steps,
Write it down.
and a building with a bunch of back steps. It's down in the basement. Have you ever been in here?
Was 3 and 3.
You better just send a picture. No, it's at like brick building. Like, do you think her and her mom sound alike?
I just told Jason, I was like, dude, that's like Tracy talk. He said, no.
Yeah.
Do you think Miranda and Tracy sound alike, their voice, the way they talk? I could see him.
Everybody's in
They'll stay in the middle and turn like I could just share over here.
Hello.
How's it going, bud? Been busy this week?
Oh, is that?
You guys cruising in the Honda?
Yeah.
That thing's nice.
We gotta use the house van tonight. We actually got 6 of us now.
Yeah.
Been busy this week?
Didn't do nothing today. Travis.
I was just mesmerized, man.
I just feel like,
My children, I have a 21-year-old daughter.
I heard her scream.
that's me and Coach. We're sitting there.
Who's this?
How you doing?
Alright.
Alright.
Yeah, you done, baby. 19 years in prison.
Yeah.
He was doing some work for Nate. That's what I needed when I was in school, so I could listen to lecture later. Yeah. Yeah. Oh boy.
She's like Leo's gotta go down to Cleveland Clinic for conference. Talk about his operation. So why don't we do it on the Zoom or something?
What, the operation?
No, no.
Oh, the meeting, the pre-op. Yeah, yeah.
That was a 4-hour drive.
Yeah, that's some stuff they do don't make much sense. They could probably charge insurance more if you're in person.
Yeah, probably.
You got a brother, Dave, too.
I'm pulling for you.
Do we need that chair out of the middle? Richard needs a chair. Oh, there's a couple back there.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I wondered if Al-Anon was over there, if we should put a sign on the door or something. If you can get him to do that, it might plug his sneaker a little more, but...
I go through there on following along.
Well, fine, while you're doing that.
Yeah, I got it.
Where are you guys?
I did get it on there.
You're coming off from St. Mary's. Dropping these guys off at home and going to the woods. That alarm went off.
Alright, good evening everyone. This is the regular meeting of the Coldwater Friday Night Group of Alcoholics Anonymous. We are a lead meeting group. My name is Miranda and I'm an alcoholic. Here at Coldwater Friday Night, we encourage getting a home group and a sponsor, even if it's only a temporary sponsor. If you're interested, see a home group member after the meeting. Can all home group members please raise your hand?
Gary's here somewhere.
Would all who care to please join me in opening this meeting with a moment of silence for those who are still sick and suffering, followed by the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity
to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things that I can, and listen to no bitterness.
And I've asked a friend to read the preamble.
I'm Dave, I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Dave.
Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength, and hopes with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution. Does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
I've asked a friend to read how it works.
Hello, Jared, alcoholic.
Jared.
How it works. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to these simple programs. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. There are such unfortunates. They are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living which demands rigorous honesty. Their chances are less than average. There are those, too, who suffer from a grave emotional and mental disorders, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now. If you have decided you want what we have and are willing to go any lengths to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps. At some of these we balked. We thought we could find an easier, softer way, but we could not. With all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas, and the result was nil. Until we let go absolutely and remember that what we deal with, alcohol, cunning, baffling, and powerful, without help, it is too much for us. But there is one who has all power. That one is God. May you find him now. Half measures availed us nothing. We stood at the turning point, and we asked for his protection and care with these complete abandon. Here are the steps we took, which suggests as a program of recovery. We admit we are powerless over alcohol and our lives have become unmanageable. 2, come to the belief that a power greater than ourselves can restore us to sanity. 3, make a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understand him. 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and another human being being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we were entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of our character. 7, humbly ask him to remove our shortcomings. 8, made a list of all persons we have harmed and became willing to make amends to all 9. Made a direct amend to such people whenever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10. Continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admit it. 11. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our consciousness contact with God as we understand Him. Pray only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Many of us exclaim, "What an order! I cannot go through with it. I do not want to be discouraged." No one among us has ever been able to maintain anything like perfection or adherence or principles. We are not saints. The point is, we are willing to grow along these spiritual lines. The principles we have set down are guides to the progress. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. Our description of alcoholics, the chaplain, the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after, we make it clear 3 permanent ideas. A, we are alcoholics who could not manage our own lives. B, we probably know that human power could have relieved us of our alcoholism. C, God could and would if He was sought.
Thanks, Jaron.
Asked a friend to read the 12 traditions.
Oh, I'm Tom, alcoholic.
Hey, Tom.
Alright. These are the 12 traditions of Alcoholics Anonymous. 1, our common welfare should come first. Personal recovery depends upon a unity. 2, for our group purpose, there is but one ultimate authority, a loving God as He may express Himself in our group conscience. Our leaders would trust His servants, they do not govern. 3, the only requirement for a membership is the desire to stop drinking. 4, each group should be autonomous, except in matters affecting other groups or AA as a whole. 5, each group has but one primary purpose, to carry its message to the alcoholic who still suffers. 6, an AA group will never endorse, finance, or lend the AA name to any related facility or outside enterprise. Less problems of money, prestige divert us from our primary purpose. 7, every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting and declining outside contributions. 8, Alcoholics Anonymous should remain forever non-professional, but our service centers may employ special workers. 9, AA ought never be organized, but we may create service boards or committees directly responsible to those they serve. 10, Alcoholics Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous has no opinion on outside issues, hence the AA name ought never be drawn to public controversy. 11, our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and film. And 12, anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles before personality.
Thanks, Tom.
Best friend to read the promises.
Steve, alcoholic.
Steve.
The spiritual life is not a theory. We have to live it. Unless one's family expresses the desire to live upon spiritual principles, we think we ought not to urge them. We should not talk incessantly to them about spiritual matters. They will change in time. Our behavior will convince them more than our words. We must remember that 10 or 20 years of drunkenness would make a skeptic out of anyone. There may be some wrongs we can never fully right. We don't worry about them if we can honestly say to ourselves that we would right them if we could. Some people cannot be seen. We send them an honest letter. And there may be a valid reason for postponement in some cases. But we don't delay if it can be avoided. We should be sensible, tactful, considerate, and humble without being servile or scraping. As God's people, we stand on our feet. We don't crawl before anyone. If we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we will be amazed before we are halfway through. We are going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity. We will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we've gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. we will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises?
We think
They are
not.
not. They are being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. They will always materialize if we work for them.
Thanks, Steve.
Pastor Brenda, read the daily reflections.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jason. I'm an alcoholic. March 15th, the God idea. When we saw others solve their problems by a simple reliance upon the Spirit of the universe, we had to stop doubting the power of God. Our ideas did not work, but the God idea did. Alcoholics Anonymous, page 52. Like a blind man gradually being restored to sight, I slowly groped my way to the third step. Having realized that only a power greater than myself could rescue me from the hopeless abyss I was in, I knew that this was a power that I had to grasp, and that it would be my anchor in the midst of a sea of woes. Even though my faith at that time was minuscule, it was big enough to make me see that it was time for me to discard my reliance on my prideful ego and replace it with a steadying strength that could only come from a power far greater than myself.
Thanks, Dave.
Pastor Brenda, read the 24-hour.
My name's Russ, I'm an alcoholic.
Russ!
March 15th, AA thought for the day. We alcoholics were on a merry-go-round, going round and round, and we couldn't get off. That merry-go-round is a kind of hell on earth. In AA, I got off the merry-go-round by learning to stay sober. I pray to my higher power every morning to help me keep sober. And I got the strength from that power to do what I could never do with my own strength. I do not doubt the existence of that power. We're not speaking into a vacuum when we pray. That power is there if we will use it. Am I off the merry-go-round of drinking for good? Meditation for the day. I must remember that in spiritual matters, I am only an instrument. It is not time to decide. It is not mine to decide how or when I am to act. God plans all spiritual matters. It is up to me to make myself fit to do God's work. All that hinders my spiritual activity must be eliminated. I can depend on God for all the strength I need to overcome those faults which are blocks. I must keep myself fit so that God can use me as a channel for His Spirit. Prayer for the day. I pray that my selfishness may not hinder my progress in spiritual matters. I pray that I may be a good instrument for God to work with.
Thanks, Russ.
Thanks, Russ.
Katie's sitting there, right?
At this meeting, we celebrate various nights of sobriety. I've asked Gary to tell us about it.
I'm Gary, I'm an alcoholic.
Gary?
Here in Coldwater, we have the token system. Is anybody here for their first meeting since their last drink? You are. What's your name?
Aaron.
Aaron?
Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
Good to see you, Aaron.
Thank you, sir.
We have a schedule up there anywhere?
Yes.
We'll just sign our name and then we'll give you a slip and a schedule.
Okay.
All right, anybody here, 1 to 3, 3 to 6, 6 to 9,
8 months.
8 months.
Hey, Ryan!
Thank you, Jason.
Here we are.
What's your name?
Thank you, Gary.
What's your name?
Brian.
Brian, good to see you. Keep coming back. All right, 8, 9 to 11 months. We got every month token, so if anybody's celebrating any month of sobriety, we got it. Anybody celebrating 1 year? Anybody have any sobriety wasn't recognized at all?
My name is Wes, I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Wes.
Wes.
15th of the month, so, makes me 2 years and 5 months.
Go, Wes. Anybody else have any sobriety wasn't recognized? All right, we can thank our higher power for another day of sobriety. And our friend Brad R., he gets operated on Monday for four bypasses, and he's at St. Rita's, so keep him in your prayers.
Yeah.
That's all.
Thanks, Gary.
Thanks, Gary.
We have no dues or fees in the AA. We are entirely self-supporting, declining outside contributions. This self-support includes our rent for this room, the coffee and refreshments, and contributions to the district area, central office, and general service office. If you have a court slip that needs signed, put it in the basket and it will be returned to you at the end of the meeting. Alright, Wes, will you read the announcements? Please.
My name's Wes, I've been alcoholic.
Wes.
I purposely did not look at this. Well, notwithstanding March 2nd, that's over. Saturday, March 2nd, that celebration of recovery, that's over. We do have, I'm there at 54. Tomorrow you can go down to Fearborn, right, and participate in the mini conference, Connecting the Club, Unity, and Service at Hope Hotel and Conference Center, that's on Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. All you have to do is show up. You don't have to show up, sign up, you don't have to pay for anything. There's a hospitality room where they set food out, you can eat there. And you can participate in discussions and things that ask, what does the membership really think about this? And then the delegate for that area is supposed to take our views to New York. That's how we get represented. So that's what that's about. That's tomorrow. I think they start at registration opens at 8 a.m. and at 9 a.m. they start doing business. All right, that's all I got.
Thanks, Wes.
Any announcements from the board? Area, the Dr. Bob's house,
That's
the
April the
20th.
27th, we're leaving 7:30, and they meet on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at New Bremen. That's where we're meeting at 7:30 in the morning.
Okay.
We got the driver and somebody in the fellowship picked up the rental for the vans, so that's all. And also there's a district meeting the first Sunday in April for GSRs, alternate GSRs, anybody's interested in service work. That's it.
Thank you, Eric.